I'm about to say something that you probably would have never thought somebody to say, but this is the practice of alchemy. This is the practice of being a shadow sorceress, of realizing the sexy shadow and using it as an opportunity to propel you forward closer to where you're meant to be. I do not avoid the shadow, I lean into it. And the thing that I'm about to say is that my abortion, the hardest thing I've ever done in this lifetime, was the best thing that has happened to me. My abortion was the very best thing that happened to me. I said it. I said it. And I mean it with every single cell and bone in my body, because it was through this experience that I was cracked open, that I was brought into the descent of the wild feminine, into truth, into grief, into power, into her, into me. The version of me that I had buried under years of societal conditioning and spiritual bypassing. So I know you've been there too, woman. You've been there. You've walked yourself through the dark nights. Maybe you're walking yourself through one right now. Nothing makes sense there. The future's uncertain. You might be disconnected from your voice, your body, your truth. Maybe you've made choices that you're afraid to own. Maybe shame has silenced your story. Maybe you've been told that you're too much, or you're too wild, or too broken. You know what the most liberating piece of my abortion journey was to own the shame and say it freely and sit down in front of my dad over a meal and tell him what I experienced. Because there was so much resistance there, because there was so much fear there. And I got to look at fear in the eye and eat it and realize that I'm okay, that I'm strong, that I'm resilient. So maybe you've made choices that you're too afraid to own, but you're still here. Okay. And I want to just help you understand that you have survived 100% of your hardest, darkest days. And that only you, nobody else, only you have been there the entire time, right alongside you. And so that you can trust you. This means there's a woman inside you who knows this is not the end of the road. If it was the end of the road, hon, you would be dead. This is a portal. It is an ego death, it's an identity death, but you are actually through this portal welcoming in new life. Women go through this every single month. Remember the chart that I spoke into? Follicular, ovulation, luteal, menstruation. We are experiencing the life, death, and rebirth portals on a monthly basis, on a yearly 12-month basis with the seasons. So what if your deepest descent was actually your initiation into your highest timeline? This is what I know to be true as a quantum energy healer. This is what I know to be true as a master certified NLP practitioner studying energetics. Quantum energetics is the deeper you go, you get to experience the equal and opposite. This is the law of polarity. This is a universal law. So surrender. You know, when I was going through my abortion, I was getting my master's certification in neurolinguistic programming. We were studying these energetics and these universal laws and principles that the deeper you go, the brighter you shine. The brighter the sun shines, the bigger shadow it casts. You need that polarity in order to experience love, joy, connection, freedom, pleasure. Otherwise, if you didn't have that darkness and that shadow, then you wouldn't know the other side. So welcome it in. Don't repress it. Don't avoid it. Don't contract. Notice how you can soften into it. And this is what I teach you how to open your body to do in the Untamed Facilitator. But is it in the eye of the storm? How can you just allow and relax and let go instead of hold and resist and create more disease and dysregulation? So, this transmission is a reclamation. This is not about politics. This is not about dogma. It's about alchemizing your lived experiences into liberation. My abortion was the best thing that happened to me. So follow along, be here, becoming the abortion alchemist. I'm going to take you through the exact moment where I found out I was pregnant, the moment that changed my life forever, the real meaning of expansion. Expansion does not only mean into the light, into the love, into the positivity. Expansion also means into the underworld. The quantum and energetic laws that explain why your pain is never wasted. How my clients, multiple clients like Megan, Heather, Lauren, turned their shame, depression, confusion into art, leadership, and purpose. Why you are not too late, too far gone, or too broken. And what it looks like for you to step into the untamed ecosystem, even if you don't see yourself there yet. So if you're feeling the pull, trust it. You've been ready to walk the path, and now is time to walk with the devotion, power, and sisterhood. Are you ready to alchemize everything that you thought disqualified you? These are your credentials. Let's go. All right. So let me tell you the origin story of becoming the abortion alchemist. It was December 19th. I was making love to my partner. It was the first night that we said I love you to each other. We went to this beautiful dinner. We exchanged Christmas gifts. And that night, we had unprotected sex. He ejaculated inside of me. And the moment that he did, I saw a flash of light in my third eye. And that light that I saw as a mirror to the wisdom of my womb, because the third eye in the womb, our sacral chakras, was evidence of conception. So look it up online, look it up on YouTube. The scientists say that the moment of conception, there is this fat flash of light that occurs within the woman's womb, and that's where the soul enters. How is that possible? That is the deepest, darkest place in our bodies, in the center of our being. It's magic. You are magic, woman. You are magic. But I didn't consciously know that I was pregnant until 11 days later. I was on the chairlift at a local ski resort commenting to my then partner about how quick my moon came and went and how light it was. The chairlift, the après ski drink, the pregnancy test all happened December 30th. After we finished the slopes, we went to get a drink and I gave him a hug. And something was off. My nipples and my breasts were so sensitive. And it was then that I knew something's different here. I realized if I had actually gotten my cycle, then I should feel an immense amount of relief. And instead, there was still this intense sensitivity. So later that night, I went home. He dropped me off. I got ready to go to his place. I took a rest, a nap, and I took a test. It was positive. The word expansion that came to me days before the word that would be my guiding light for 2022 did not only come in love and peace and liberation and ease, but expansion also meant down deep into the underworld. And so that was it. My Saturn return cracked me open. And it did not break me, it awakened me. So let me just tell you how the law of polarity and the law of cause and effect work. These are two universal laws, okay, that I live by, abide by, I teach. The law of polarity, what goes up must come down. When there is shadow, there must be light. When there is light, there is darkness. Yin and yang. If you want to speak into the law of gender, another universal law that explores masculine and feminine energetics. When you think of the feminine is the underworld. She is the shadow. She is earth. She is grit. She is void. And this is what I was experiencing in my pregnancy, is a deep feminine reckoning and awakening into the void, into the shadow, into the underworld. And like I mentioned, I was studying quantum energetics at the time, getting my master's certification in NLP as a neurolinguistics programming practitioner, understanding the metrics of the mind. And I realized this that I was holding was the essence of quantum energetics. How could I allow myself to go into the abyss, the descent, the void, the unknown, and let myself get lost in it, dance in it, cry in it, pray in it, die in it, so that I could be the phoenix rising from the ashes, the lotus blooming from the mud. And that, my dear, is the law of polarity. That, my dear, plays into the law of cause and effect. What goes up must come down. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. That is the law of cause and effect. And so, if I just allowed myself to surrender into the big black void of the unknown, I knew, I prayed that I would have the equal and opposite experience on the other side. And I did. That spring, I came out of this dark portal of the abyss like a reborn child. The energy of spring that I teach you, right? This is speaking into the untamed path from winter into spring, the first shoots of new life budding from the earth, and the buds, those little green buds on the trees. That was what I was experiencing within me. And you have that power within you too. So do not resist. Allow the natural process and the unfolding of the poetry of your life to happen. The underworld is sacred, and it's necessary for true feminine power. My abortion was the best thing that happened to me. You are not broken. You are being initiated. And this path, the path of the untamed feminine, let me tell you, woman, this is not for the faint of heart. You're going to be tested. You're going to walk through trials and tribulations. And I want to see, I want to know just how resilient, just how devoted you are. Because the path of the untamed and the jaguar spiral to become the priestess is for the woman that is in deep prayer and devotion to that destiny path that is her life. You are being initiated. You are not broken. And just know that whatever you are perceiving as failure right now is actually not. This is actually a redirect. It's bringing you closer to where you are meant to be. You were always on the path. Remember that. No matter how far you think that you've strayed from the path, you were always on the path. So listen to your body, listen to your intuition, and trust me, things will get a lot easier. So that old belief that you think you've maybe messed up or that you're a bad person, that was the identity death that I had to walk myself through when I became pregnant. I had to look at myself square in the face in the mirror and I had to be like, who the F am I and who have I become to let this happen? And it doesn't mean that I was a bad person. It just means that I had strayed. I had strayed from my inner compass. I had lied to myself. I was trying to assimilate, conform, fit in. I was trying to be in a relationship and make it work with a guy because I so desperately wanted love. But I always knew my intuition, my body, she always knew, but I needed to learn those lessons. You know, when I entered into that relationship, I knew he was not the one. Why would I be in relationship with him? Well, I had some wounds with the masculine that I needed to heal. B, I didn't think that I was worthy of being in a relationship that I truly deeply desired. And C, I had an initiation that I needed to go through. And thank you to this ex for being the conduit and the portal to that initiation. So let me tell you that you are resilient and you're wild woman. You are being forged by fire. And listen to the interview that I have with Leah Drew. We talk about this process, this alchemical process, this burning, this the way that wildfires spread and how regenerative that is to the earth and the soil. How cleansing it actually is and how healing of a process it is. So, I'm going to talk to you guys about my client Megan. She's amazing. And she came to me a year ago in a really dark place. Megan is an alchemist. She is an artist. She is the essence of and the embodiment of one's ability to turn anything she touches into dripping gold and diamonds. And so she's come from a hard place, a broken home, an unavailable, emotionally unavailable father. And she found herself in toxic relationships because that's what she was mirrored as normal by her relationship to her father. She constantly had to fix and tend and hold and nurse the men in her life. And so she got into relationship with a man in New York whom she needed to show the light. This woman is a priestess. And ladies, this is why you have discernment and listen to Megan's and I's interview. We talk about this process of discernment and checking into your four central energetic centers as a compass into your turn on and your desire and your yes in your body. And then listen to Alma Lee's interview when we talk about feminine magnetism and sexuality and sharing your body with the masculine in that process. But she has created art. Megan has created art. She moved from New York City back to Colorado in the darkest nights, longest nights of winter 2024 in a completely distraught, depressed, lost place. And then she stepped in. She stepped into the dojo. She stepped into my field. She stepped into what was then the Coven, what is now the Temple of the Jaguar. And I teach you guys the frameworks for these women's groups, these alchemical, beautiful, poetic, transformative, life changing, life altering women's groups that people come into. And hey, if you're not ready to learn yet, just come into this space and receive, see yourself. Let this be a space to see yourself. And so Megan came in. And as she came in, she started to develop real sisterhood, real connection, real relationships with spiritual women that could meet her, that spoke her language, that honored and revered her, that loved her even when she was down, and cheered her on and championed her when she was up. And now Megan is the founder of a dance company and she's selling her art. And she's getting on stages with local artists here in Colorado with her dance company, her go-go troupe, Astral Rose Joys. She has made art out of that which one would call the end of the road. It is not the end, babe. This is just the beginning. You're not broken. You are being initiated. My abortion was the best thing that ever happened to me. So realize that whatever it is that you're going through, this is an opportunity to realize and reframe. And again, this is a process that I teach you. And hey, if you haven't checked out the bonus for the summit, I actually give you a 90-minute session when you buy into the VIP upgrade. I you get a 90-minute what's your medicine strategy session. So we do inventory. We take inventory of what your process, your narrative is, what your greatest gifts are, and use that as pathways and indicators and spotlights into your expansion. Because remember that expansion does not only mean up, but it means down. And so let's go there and let's harvest the medicine that is just waiting for you. Okay. So maybe you're feeling isolated. Maybe you feel like you just haven't found your people yet. Maybe you're uncertain. You're still not fully convicted about your community or the worth that you carry inside and the contribution that you are here to create for the people that are meant for you. It took me 10 years to step into the community and lead in the ways that I wanted to. It took me 10 years. It doesn't need to take you 10 years. It's actually just about choice. It's about choosing who the F you are and stepping in with conviction and confidence. And oh, by the way, confidence, you don't just have, confidence comes through compounded brave action. Conviction comes through compounded confidence. Okay. So your community that you're cultivating, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And getting around people that match you and that inspire you and that hold you when you're coming undone and love you and champion and celebrate you when you're fucking winning. This is not a luxury. This is a necessity for you to walk your path of the untamed and pursue your destiny. You need this. Don't be mistaken. Remember that quote that you're the 5 people who you spend most time with? Get in the room and get around freaking rock stars and start to spend time with people that inspire you and lift you up and expand you and challenge you. Okay, and remember that expansion is not always up. that there's shadow aspects of that as well, but that's beautiful. That's beautiful. So, that old belief that nobody gets me, I beg to differ. You, wild woman, know that we are just waiting for you to say yes to us. We are waiting for you to get in the room, to get in community, to be understood by the people that are meant to understand you. Nobody gets you because you're trying to fit into a box that you're not meant to be in. So be brave and be willing to be misunderstood, because you, as you dial up your authentic expression and truth of the woman and the being that you are, become magnetic. You become magnetic. And the people that are meant to be in your life, they are drawn to you. Takes a sip of cacao. So be willing to be misunderstood. Please, you aren't doing anybody a favor by thinking that nobody gets me or trying to fit into a box. Nobody gets you because you're not being authentic, okay? So we are waiting for you to say yes. Oh my gosh. My client, Lauren, she moved to Denver, soul searching, and after a breakup, wondering what's next. Where is she meant to be? She moved from the Pacific Northwest. Her heart was just like shattering into a million pieces. And oh my God, my heartbreaks have been the portals to my greatest expansion. And when I had that abortion, remember, the best thing that ever happened to me, I had the biggest heartbreak because I was finally letting go of the person who I thought that I was. It wasn't an alignment anymore. And so my client Lauren, she did the same thing. She was finally letting go of the identity and the what ifs and the attachments to the things that she thought that she was, because she was allowing herself to finally fully step into the woman that she is, create a new story, a new pathway, a new narrative. You are an artist and you have the power. Okay. And so she came here and she found sisterhood and she stepped into my women's group. And she decided to stay. She wasn't sure if she was going to stay here in Colorado. She was going to move back to the Pacific Northwest. And she decided to stay and honor the woman that she's becoming. And yeah, it was a little bit easier because she started to hang out around a bunch of rock stars that totally inspired her and saw her in her light and held her in her dark. Okay. And now she's creating the most incredible community. I see her on the slopes with so many of the women that have been part of the Untamed ecosystem. It is such a pleasure to witness. You need community, okay? Start surrounding yourself with people that challenge you, inspire you, expand you. So that old condition to stay small, to be quiet, to contract, to not take up too much space, to deny yourself of the truth of who you are. There's no space for that here. There is no space for that here. You were here to create and be something way bigger than what your conditions and the disembodied patriarchy have led you to believe. So you are being initiated and called into something bigger from your body, from your story, from your spirit, from your soul. So if you're here watching this, you are a leader. That belief that you're not a healer, that you're not a leader, I believe that's a lie. That's a lie. I attract in leaders. I attract in artists, creatives, disruptors, healers. You belong here. Maybe you've just been surrounding yourself, no offense, by muggles that haven't reflected back to you your natural born radiance. And this path is actually just a path of deep remembrance. So I am here to remind you, babe, of your divinity, of your goddess given right. So stay in the room, invest in yourself, get surrounded by freaking jaguars and rock stars and freaking snakes and unicorns, and help us. Let us remind you of the magnetic, magical, mystical woman that you are. We are all mirrors into what's possible for you. This is a process that this is the essence of the Becoming Her Unity Circle. So that you're going to receive on Monday. Show up live. It starts at 4:30, I believe, 4:30 to 6 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The Becoming Her Unity Circle is an introspective, heart-centered, connective way. We're using each other's of mirrors into the truth of who we are. Okay, because you're in the ecosystem now with incredible, powerful, disruptor, healer women. And so through the Becoming Her Unity Circle, which by the way, I'm going to teach you how to run and give you kind of the breakdown of it. But through that Becoming Her Unity Circle, you get to see into and have reflected back your own divinity, okay? Through connection to another. How fucking good is that? It's like, it's so good. It's so good. I know you're excited. Be sure to show up live because it's just not the same. And yeah, I would say live is like the most, especially for the Becoming Her Unity Circle, because it is partner work. We'll need you there. Okay. All right. Let me speak about one of my last and most beautiful clients. They're all incredible. They're all beautiful. Heather, I know you're watching this. I love you. I'm so happy. Oh my gosh, my computer thinks I'm playing music. I love that. Such a compliment. Heather came to me in a dark, depressive state. What she didn't realize is that she just wasn't about hanging around some rock stars and people to remind her of her divinity. She was hanging around muggles and people that were depressed and just like thrived and wouldn't make her wrong for her sadness and her grief. And granted, like, I love grief, I love sadness. They're fucking fantastic teachers, but that is not your baseline. That is an illusion. Okay. And so many of us are disillusioned. So many people that are asleep think that depression, sadness, shame, grief, guilt, that is normal. It's not normal. Joy, pleasure, connection, that gets to be your baseline. So Heather, she was an accountant. She knew there was something more. Similar to me, she was feeling lifeless and uninspired by her job, sitting, punching out Excel spreadsheets. She felt called to something more, and she finally stepped in. She finally said yes, it was time for her to walk herself on the path, the jaguar spiral, the untamed path. And you know what she told me so many times? I just envisioned myself to be barefoot walking through the jungle, this warm, humid air breezing through my hair. Women, this lady quit her freaking corporate job. She is building out a van, about to travel the world with her lover. And oh, by the way, he's been stepping so much more into his masculinity because she is surrendered and softening into her femininity and learning that, oh, maybe she's actually not type A. And that type A was just conditioning and programming, trying to fit into the box and play in the matrix and play by the rules that weren't even hers to play by. It wasn't her game. She was playing the wrong game. And so she's enjoying her flow and she's enjoying her purple and pink hair that she dyed in the last week of her corporate job. And God, she has just been realizing how that type A identity was actually just like not serving her at all. And discovering through this process her true self. Heather is on her way to becoming the wild, untamed woman. I'm so excited to witness her in this process. Barefoot in the jungle, she is claiming her own spiritual liberation and freedom through this path. So I'm going to invite you guys in to this dojo, to this ecosystem, to this field. Hopefully, you can see by now the impact and the weight that this work has on so many women, finding their purpose, calling in true love, stepping into more conscious, elevated states, inviting the people that you love to rise and meet you. These are all so energetic and they compound on each other to create a magnificent life full of joy and beauty and love and passion and radiance. You were meant for more, woman. And so maybe you're not ready for the Untamed Facilitator training initiation dojo yet, but there's still a way to play. There's still a path forward. So if you haven't gotten your VIP upgrade, be sure to do so. We'll schedule your What's Your Medicine strategy session that goes hand in hand with the alchemist energy that we're speaking into here. That fiery, that passion energy, which we explore in the second quarter of the Untamed Facilitator, the Untamed Path. But we can also explore it one-to-one. So check out the VIP upgrade, schedule your 90-minute What's Your Medicine strategy session. Let's go into the fire together. I am the abortion alchemist. I will be here with you side by side, holding your hand, illuminating your shadow, bringing in the floodlights into parts that had been operating unconsciously, keeping you small, keeping you stuck. We're here to break out of the conditioning, okay? Or book the Uncaged, the Untamed session, feminine session. This is a free session. Book both of them. Book both of them. Y'all, I'm giving you over $1,000 worth of value in for $86 in the VIP upgraded. So I don't know like why you wouldn't do it, but the Uncaged, the Untamed Feminine session, you'll discover what archetype you're currently in, what feminine season you're currently in. You'll explore where you can fit into this community, this ecosystem. I mean, seriously, the people in the room are incredible. And we can talk about maybe welcoming you into the Temple of the Jaguar, which is the evolution, the next evolution of my women's group and a deeper initiation path that is 6 months long with weekly calls, weekly activations, community, a retreat component of it in person. It is freaking magic. And Lauren, Megan, these women were in the Temple of the Jaguar and they're stepping into their artistry, they're stepping into their conviction, they're stepping into their worth, they're attracting in soul partnerships because they healed and tended to that inner wounded little girl in aspects that we explore in Temple of the Jaguar. Okay? And so even if you're not ready for the Untamed Facilitator training, the Temple of the Jaguar will weave in aspects of the Untamed Path. The Untamed Path is the way. And so that format is what really magnifies and guides the Jaguar spiral, which is what I'm here to lead you on. Okay. So you don't need to wait until you're ready. Actually, don't wait until you're ready because you're never going to feel ready. You just need to say yes. You just need to say yes. Okay. Jump before you're ready. What does the future version of you do now? This is your moment to alchemize shame into sovereignty, to tell your story as a sacred rite of passage, and to become the woman who leads from all of it. You are the alchemist, and I love you deeply. And I'll see you in, if not one, two, or many more places. Book your call. I'm so excited to connect.